Hey guys, welcome back, and in today's video I will be doing my first mock draft with the correct draft order, at least as of today. So this is going to be a fun one. I'm really looking forward to it. The Super Bowl was last night at the time of recording this, and the Chiefs won again. So we've got the complete draft order, and I will be doing trades in this one. We're not going to have too many trades, but we will have a few. Before I get into it though, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe if you are new. And first and foremost, let's go ahead and get into this with the Chicago Bears at number one. By the way, we are doing two rounds here. The Chicago Bears at number one, I think this is a trade team. This is going to be a fun trade, and I do think my Indianapolis Colts, as you can see behind my head, are the team that is going to make that trade. So I'm going to trade. I think they have to give up a second and their first next year. The Bears give back a fifth and a fourth. Let's just make that deal happen. Colts are at number one here. I know I'm going to get flamed in the comments for this, and I don't think this is what I would do personally, but this is what I'm predicting will happen. I think Will Levis is going to be the first quarterback off the board, and I'm going to do it. I know a lot of people are saying that him playing at the Senior Bowl or not playing at the Senior Bowl might have hurt his draft stock. From what I'm hearing, he had a foot injury that kind of sat him out and why he didn't play. I think Will Levis I'll go back and forth on him all the time, but lost three of his offensive linemen, his number one receiver, and an offensive coordinator that was fired after 8 months with the team. Horrible situation for him last year, and his numbers weren't all that bad. I know the Tennessee game wasn't a great performance for him, but he's got all the tools, and I think he is going to be the first quarterback off the board. I think he's going to wow at the combine, wow at his pro day, and teams are just going to be enamored with the potential. So I'm going to take Will Levis here as the first quarterback off the board, which leaves the Texans to take the guy who I think they want anyways, and that's going to be Bryce Young. I think the size could draw some teams away because he is one of the smallest quarterbacks we've ever seen, but he's a tough kid, can play, can throw the ball, he's mobile, and I think he's going to be a fantastic player. So I'm going to take Bryce Young at number two to the Houston Texans. And then I think we're going to see another trade here. I think the Arizona Cardinals will trade their number three pick to the Carolina Panthers. I think Carolina is going to need to trade up for a quarterback. I think they would give up one of their second round picks, and the draft compensation really doesn't matter all that much. I'm trying to, because I do think a second is going to have to be involved, so I am trying to include that, which means that the Panthers are going to trade up to take C.J. Stroud. I like Stroud. I think he's going to be a good player, but him in Carolina, I think, is the perfect fit. You got Frank Reich as your head coach now. I think this is a fantastic pickup for them, and I think this would be a huge move for Carolina in the right direction. Good arm. He's good at the line of scrimmage, and I really like C.J. Stroud in this Carolina offense. And then the draft really starts here with the Chicago Bears traded back from number one to number four. And I think that Chicago will take Jalen Carter. His interior defensive line presence is fantastic, and I think he is the best player in this draft. I think he's going to be a really, really good player, just dominant, and I think he is the first defensive player off the board. And then we got Seattle at number five. They take Will Anderson Jr. Not going to overthink that. Absolute monster. They need help off the edge. It makes way too much sense, so I'm going to do that there. And then we got the Detroit Lions. Yeah, you could go Tyree Wilson. Yes, you could go with Myles Murphy, but I like Christian Gonzalez here quite a bit. They need some secondary help. I have him as my CB1B. I think I like Witherspoon, but I think he's going to go later in the draft. But I like Christian Gonzalez a lot. Physical, long arms, quick. I think he's going to be good, and I think he'll be the first cornerback off the board. And I think that the Detroit Lions are going to take him. And then we get the Raiders here. Very interesting. Could they go quarterback? Because I know a lot of reports come out that they really like Anthony Richardson. I think it makes sense, but I think this is more of a veteran quarterback team. I don't think they're going to draft quarterback in round one, personally. So I think they are going to pass on this in my eyes, which leads them to take Tyree Wilson. They need help off the edge. The Chandler Jones thing just did not work out, and I think Tyree Wilson has versatility on that line, would make him a huge addition. You could play him on the inside. You could play him off the edge. Pairing him with Max Crosby, I think, would be fantastic. And I'm going to take Tyree Wilson here. And then at number 8, we've got the Atlanta Falcons. They take Myles Murphy. They need some edge help, and Myles Murphy, I think, is the guy to do that for them. So we're kind of moving down the board here. Miles Murphy on the edge there. At number 9, the Arizona Cardinals, who traded back. They added an extra second, which I'm going to be excited to see that one. This is an interesting spot for them. I think they're going to go. I mean, I look at the edge here, and the only guy I think they would consider is Lucas Van Ness, but I think this is a little high for him. So I'm actually going to select Devon Witherspoon. My favorite corner in this draft is just physicality, long arms, good wingspan, incredible in man and zone. I think he's, in my opinion, my favorite corner in this class. Fits perfectly in Arizona. If they don't get Byron Murphy, they can get Witherspoon, and I think he would immediately help this team. So Witherspoon is going to be my guy there, and then that just leaves Joey Porter Jr. to be the pick here for the Philadelphia Eagles. 3 cornerbacks in the top 10, 3 corners and quarterbacks taking the top 10. Philly just needs some more help in that secondary, I think, especially with some free agents there. I think Joey Porter makes a ton of sense there, and he would be an amazing pickup for them. And then at number 11, we got the Tennessee Titans. You could consider going Anthony Richardson, but I don't think that moves the needle for you. So I am going to take a offensive tackle, and I like Paris Johnson Jr. the best. I think he is the best offensive tackle in this class, and he is going to be the guy I select here. Then we've got a trade here. I think the Texans here, there's not really a guy on the board to me worth selecting here. So I'm going to trade back, and I'm going to have Tampa Bay trade up. And I think they're going to trade their first and their second. That's enough in the machine to get it. And Tampa's going to trade up to number 12 to select Anthony Richardson. They need a quarterback. They do. Tom Brady's retired. I think Jimmy G could be the guy, but he's not your long-term solution. I think you try and go get Anthony Richardson, a guy who has incredible potential. Long arms are, I don't know why I'm talking about him like a defensive player. Incredible arms. He's got incredible speed, needs to work on that accuracy. I think he's going to take a year, but he could be like a Lamar Jackson type player or Josh Allen. I mean, he's got off-the-charts potential, and I think number 12 is about where he'll go, and I think Tampa's going to do that move to trade up to get him. And then we got the New York Jets here. In honor of my guy, the mock draft guy, I think it's going to be Brian Branch. The more he talks about it, the more I just love it. They could use another safety. Their safety play was really weak this year, and I think Brian Branch makes a ton of sense here. So I'm going to take him, pair him with DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner. You got one of the best secondaries, and this is a deep tackle class. So I think he makes a lot of sense to the Jets here, and they could take a tackle later on. Then we got the New England Patriots here at 14, and I think they're going to take Peter Skoronski. Not the best pick in the world, but Skoronski's a good player. Could play guard for them on the opposite side of Cole Strange. Could play him at tackle. They need some offensive line help, and I think he makes a lot of sense to the New England Patriots. Then we've got the Green Bay Packers, and I'm sticking with the pick I've been making. I like Michael Mayer here quite a bit. They just need a tight end. Robert Tonyan, not your long-term solution there at all, and I think Michael Mayer's a really good player, so I'm going to make that selection here. At number 16, we've got the Washington Commanders, and I think this is going to be a corner. I'm going to take Cam Smith. I love Cam Smith. He's right up there with Gonzalez and Witherspoon for me. He is my CB2. I love him. I think he's a great player. Another guy, super physical, long arms, great in zone, and I think Washington needs that other corner to play next to Kendall Fuller, to play next to Benjamin St-Juste. They need to shore up that secondary, and I think Cam Smith is the guy to do that. And then we got the Steelers, who I think would absolutely love to take a corner here. From what I'm reading, they really want Joey Porter. I think they would take Cam Smith if he's on the board as well, but I think they're going to go offensive tackle, which is not a bad pick, and you're going to go with Broderick Jones, a guy who really been flying up boards, really. He's been great. Big, physical offensive tackle, good arm length. You can plug and play him at your left tackle, and I think he's going to be a really good day one starter for them, and I absolutely love it. So I'm going to take Broderick Jones here at 17. At 18, we are going to take Lucas Van Ness here to the Detroit Lions. Yeah, I think he might slip a little bit, but Van Ness and Hutchinson is a fantastic pairing there, and I really like what Lucas Van Ness could bring to the Detroit Lions. I did a whole video on Lucas Van Ness. You guys can go check that one out. I'll leave it linked down below, but good stuff from him. I think he is going to be a first-round pick in the top 20, and I've got him at 18. Then we get to the Houston Texans. They trade back, and they still get the number 1 receiver on the board, and that is Quentin Johnston. I think he fits so nicely in Houston, stays in Texas, a really good player, physical. He's tall but runs like a slot receiver, and I think he's the best receiver in this class, and he is going to be my selection here. I saw the mock draft guy do this, and I do like the idea of Seattle trading back to accumulate more draft capital. I do think the Giants are in play here. Seeing one receiver go off the board, you got the Chargers who are look like they might cut Keenan Allen. They might be drafting a receiver. The Ravens would draft a receiver. The Vikings might. The Jags might jump those guys. And Seattle, I don't think, needs to make this pick here. So I think the Giants moving up just a few spots. You include a third rounder in there. And I think that deal is good. And the Giants can trade up to take Jordan Addison, who on a lot of people's boards is the number one receiver. And I'm not opposed to that. I think he is a very, very good wide receiver, especially in open space. I think if you get him the ball in space, he is going to make a big play. Immediate wide receiver one for Daniel Jones, and he opens this offense up so much. So really like Jordan Addison here. I like Jackson Smith-Njigba here to the Chargers, but again, I like Dalton Kincaid. I think Kincaid will be a first-round pick, but I think I am going to stick with my guns here, and I'm going to go Jackson Smith-Njigba. I think he's the guy here. I think it makes a ton of sense, especially if they do decide to cut Keenan Allen, which it looks like they will because he's a cap casualty. I think you could get him. He could be a really good wide receiver 2 to Mike Williams, maybe even wide receiver 3 because I really like Josh Palmer. I think Jackson Smith-Njigba makes a ton of sense here to go to the Chargers. And then the Baltimore Ravens, I'm going to take Jalen Hyatt. They need a deep threat. Jalen Hyatt is that guy, without a doubt. And I think he just makes a lot of sense here. They need that number one receiver. I like Bateman. I like Duvernay, but I think Hyatt is a wide receiver 1. Some people think he has the highest potential of all the receivers in this class. I could see it. I like Jalen Hyatt quite a bit, and he's the pick here at 22. And then we got the Minnesota Vikings. Now I'm going to select Kelee Ringo here. I like Ringo. I know a lot of people are a little down on him. Think he's going to fall down the board a little bit. I still think he is a back-end first-round guy. Good size, great speed. Maybe he fits better at a safety at the next level, but I do think he is ultimately going to be a first-round pick. And I think the Vikings, who need secondary help, are going to make that move. So I'm going to take Kelee Ringo here at 23. At 24, I'm going to take Emmanuel Forbes over Clark Phillips. I think Forbes has better size, good wingspan, but also just really a ball hawking guy. Had multiple interceptions at Mississippi State. I think Clark Phillips is a little undersized, might fall down the board a bit, and I like Emmanuel Forbes to the Jaguars at 24. At 25, we got the Seattle Seahawks, and they need some center help, and that's going to be John Michael Schmitz. Just an incredible player. He has been wowing in his pre-draft process. He will be a first-round pick, I think, when it's all said and done. And I think Seattle, who needs that interior offensive line help, will be the team to select him. At number 26, we've got the Dallas Cowboys. Do I want to go with Bijan Robinson? Yes, I do, and I'm highly considering it. They also could use linebacker, though, especially with Leighton Vander Esch being a free agent. I think Trenton Simpson would be fantastic for the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know the health of Tony Pollard. That's where this all hinges on, and it looks like he's going to miss some time. And I think Zeke is getting older, and he just isn't the same guy. So, yeah, we are going to take Bijan Robinson here. They need another running back. I think it makes a lot of sense here to take him. So, give me Bijan Robinson, and then give me O'Cyrus Torrence here for the Buffalo Bills. They need some offensive line help, I think, without question. I think he is one of the better interior guys in the class. There's another guy who I do think is going to go in the next round for sure that you could argue back and forth between, but it's John Michael Schmitz, O'Cyrus Torrence, and then the third guy. I think this is the pick here. I think the Bills need some offensive line help, and it wasn't great last year, so getting some more help for Josh Allen is key. At number 28, this is the Dalton Kincaid spot. I think he is going to fall a little bit. I think Cincinnati's going to select him here. They need a tight end, especially with Hayden Hurst being a free agent. They don't have any tight ends on the roster. Dalton Kincaid, arguably tight end 1 in the class. Yeah, that's going to be the selection here. At number 29, we've got the New Orleans Saints. Very interesting here. I think I'm going to make a pick that I don't think people will be expecting, but I think makes a lot of sense. if you look at their running back depth, it is very, very slim. It's Alvin Kamara and then nobody after that. Yes, you could go receiver. Yes, Brian Brzee still on the board. That's tough. The Brian Brzee pick makes a lot of sense to me. Or you could go edge. I know Isaiah Foskey's here. Keon White's been flying up boards. Will McDonald's been flying up boards. I think I'm going to take Brian Brzee here now that I look at it. I was thinking Jahmyr Gibbs, but they need some interior defensive line help. It's getting older. And I think Brian Brzee falling at 29, that's incredible value for him. I think he makes sense here. At number 30, the runner-up runner-up in the Super Bowl, I'm going to take Keon White here. He's been flying up draft board. I think he will slide into the first round, and I think Philadelphia gets their guy there. Keon White's a really good player, and I think he will be a first-round pick. At number 31, we've got the Kansas City Chiefs. I would look edge. Jahmyr Gibbs, again, I think is in play here. But I am going to go with an edge rusher, and I like Nolan Smith here. Coming off an injury might draw some teams away, but I think he'll still be a early second, late first-round guy, and he's the pick here for me. The first pick of the second round here, we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. We had them take Broderick Jones earlier, and now I think we will have them take Clark Phillips. They just need some more secondary help. Clark Phillips fits exactly what they're looking for, and I really like the fit here of him in Pittsburgh, so we're going to select him there. At number 33, we've got the Houston Texans, and I'm going to select an edge rusher here. I think they need some edge help. Isaiah Foskey's on the board. I think Will McDonald is going to go a little bit higher, but I'm going to take Isaiah Foskey. Good edge rusher out of Notre Dame. Had a really good season. I think he's going to be the guy here. This is going to be an easy pick for me. For the Arizona Cardinals, I'm taking Jahmyr Gibbs. They need some help in that running back department. James Conner's fine. Constantly injured. I think they have to select a running back, and I think you could select him here or at 39. I don't know if he'll be on the board at 39, but really like his fit here at 34. At number 35, we got the Chicago Bears, and again, I think we're going to stick on the edge rush train. I'm going to take B.J. Ojulari out of LSU. Best edge left on the board, and I think he makes a ton of sense here. So, I'm going to take Ojulari. They get Jalen Carter, B.J. Ojulari. They got another couple of picks coming on later. So, really nice draft so far for the Chicago Bears. At number 36, this is an easy pick for me. We are going to take Steve Avila out of TCU. Yeah, I think they need interior offensive line help for sure, and I think Avila is going to go in the top 40, arguably a first-round guy. He played fantastic at the Senior Bowl, was one of the big risers, and I think he's going to be the selection here ultimately. So really like this for the Rams at 36. At 37, we are 100% taking Trenton Simpson, a guy I consider to take at 20 for the Seattle Seahawks. I think the linebacker position just isn't really valued in the draft like it should be. I think he's going to fall a little bit. So we will be selecting Trenton Simpson there at 37. At 38, we're selecting Anton Harrison, maybe the best pass blocking tackle in the entire draft. I think he is a really good player. And the Raiders, they need a lot of help on their offensive line. So he will be the selection here. Now this is where it gets interesting. I think they could go edge, but I definitely think offensive line is still a massive need for them. And so I am going to select DeJuan Jones here. I think they just need tackle. They need to improve their offensive line desperately, and I'm going to do it for them. So they come away with Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon Witherspoon, DeJuan Jones. I think that's a really nice draft for Cardinals fans. At number 40, we've got the New Orleans Saints, and I'm going to take Zay Flowers here. They need a wide receiver. You got Chris Olave. I think Michael Thomas is going to get traded. I think they need some help there, and ultimately I will select Zay Flowers. And then at 41, we've got the Tennessee Titans on the board, and I'm going to take Josh Downs. I really like the pairing of Josh Downs with Treylon Burks. I think they're very different receivers. You could get the ball. I think Burks is more of a deep threat, a jump ball guy. And I like Josh Downs as more of like a speedster, gadget player, similar to like a Tyreek Hill type guy. And I think this would be a really nice pickup for the Titans. So he's going to be the guy here. And then I'm going to take Antonio Johnson for the Cleveland Browns. I think they need safety help, and I'm going to give them that. So They get their safety here. Man, I know Jets fans are looking at Drew Sanders and saying, why don't we take him? You still got that massive tackle need. I'm going to take Matthew Bergeron here. I think he really impressed at the Senior Bowl, and I think he's going to go up a little bit in boards. And I'm going to take him here at number 43. At number 44, we got the Atlanta Falcons. I think they definitely could look at the secondary position. I really like Tyreek Stevenson. I think he will be a second-round pick. Deontay Banks as well. There's some really good corners. I like Garrett Williams. He's going to fall down the board, but I think he's a really good value guy. Who else? Anthony Johnson, I think, is really good. Darrell Luter, I think, is really good. I mean, this is a very good. Miles Brooks. This is a good cornerback class. I think you could even look at tackle. Darnell Wright still being on the board. That might entice them, but I'm actually going to go with Tyreek Stevenson, I think. I think they need some help in the secondary to get a guy next to AJ Terrell. I think it makes a lot of sense, so Tyreek Stevenson will be the pick here. At number 45, we've got the Green Bay Packers. Safeties in play here. I think J.L. Skinner is being way undervalued in this. Offensive line. Yeah, we're going to take Darnell Wright, I think, for them. They need some offensive line help. They're not going to go receiver here. Do I love any of the receivers on the board? Not really. But I think Darnell Wright's a good pick. I do like Rashee Rice here. I think Rice, again, another guy who I think is being undervalued here. I think he is going to be a higher draft pick. I like Rice's fit in New England, so I'm going to select him there. I'm going to take Cody Mock here for the Washington Commanders. A guy who can play guard, can play some tackle. I think he's a very versatile weapon. I think would fit very nicely here. Then we're taking Drew Sanders without question to the Detroit Lions. Falls down the board a little bit, but man, he can play. Really good player, and I think he is going to be a massive addition to this Lions defense. At number 49, I'm not going to take offensive line. I'm not going to take edge. I don't like Kayshon Boutte here. D-line's in play here. I think if they're going to take a defensive lineman, I'm going to take Mozzie Smith out of Michigan. I think he's the guy. I think Siaki Ika is going to fall a little bit down the board. I really like Mozzie Smith, though. I think he's a really solid player and a day one starter for them. And then we've got the Houston Texans on the board again. They've taken Johnston, Foskey, and Bryce Young. You could look at defensive line. I like Javon Dexter. Don't think that's the pick. Linebacker, don't love Noah Sewell here. Offensive tackle, I think you could definitely improve this offensive line a little bit more. But I don't know what the pick is here for the Texans. I think we're going to go with the tackle here. Just protect your quarterback as much as you can. You can move Jalen Duncan to the right side, and I think it makes a lot of sense. So we're going to take Jalen Duncan here to the Texans at 51. This is going to be a running back spot for sure for me. Devin Cheney's been going up boards. I think he's a little small. They need any running back, though, and I'm going to take – I like Zach Charbonnet the best out of these guys, so he's going to be the selection there for me. And then we've got the Seattle Seahawks on the board again, and now I think you look at that interior of your defensive line. I'm taking Javon Dexter here. I like Dexter. I think he's falling down the boards a little bit, but I think Javon Dexter is an amazing prospect, and I think would fit really nicely on the interior of this defensive line, a defensive line that struggled. So give me Dexter here. At number 53, we've got the Chicago Bears, and I'm going to select Kayshon Boutte. I'm not in love with it. I'm not a huge Kayshon Boutte guy, but I think he makes a ton of sense here. They need a receiver, and even though he struggled this year, I think that's the guy. I'm going to take Darnell Washington to the Chargers. I think he makes a ton of sense there. They need a tight end, especially the tight ends are getting older, and I love this fit for them. At number 55, I'm taking Luke Musgrave. We're going to see back-to-back tight ends off the board here. I like Musgrave again. I think he's a good player, and not much else I want to say on that. I think he's a good tight end. They need tight end. Makes sense. At number 56, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars. You could look at receiver here. I think Tank Dell is really good. Undersized, but I think he's a really good player. Cedric Tillman, I don't love any of these guys. They took corner earlier. D-line, do I like any of these fits to them? Not really. Safety, I like J.L. Skinner, but I think he might go to an early round 3 guy. We're going to probably go, I don't think edge is a huge need for them. this is tough. I think we're going to go with a safety here. I know it's down the board, but I think JL Skinner, why is that a D plus? I think Skinner played really well at the Senior Bowl, and I think he's going to continue to rise his stock and be a second-round pick. The Jags need a safety. I think it makes sense there, so I'm going to take JL Skinner, and I'm going to take Deonte Banks here to the New York Giants, another guy who I really like. It's a good secondary class, as I've said, and I think Deonte Banks is a great fit there. And I think the Cowboys would love to take a corner. DJ Turner is the guy I would consider here at 58, but I am going to go with a linebacker because Noah Sewell's still on the board. That's ultimately going to be the selection here. At number 59, we've got the Buffalo Bills. I think they're going to go safety, maybe. Running back's going to be the selection here. We're going to take Devin Achaney. They could use some more running back depth, and that is going to be the selection for me. Offensive line for the Cincinnati Bengals. It's going to be the question mark for years until they can actually fix it. And I'm going to take tough here. I'm not in love with any of these guys, but I think Joe Tippmann's going to be the guy. He played really well at the Senior Bowl, and I really like what he's going to be able to bring. Somehow, Felix Anudike-Uzomah fell to 61. Not a lot of edge-needy teams here. I think this is a great situation for Felix Anudike-Uzomah, paired alongside a dominant edge rusher. Yeah, I really like it. Then we've got the Philadelphia Eagles. I think this is a running back spot. They've got a lot of guys there, but I don't love any of the running backs there. Receiver, you could consider. Offensive line, can never have too much depth. Linebacker, they really want me to select Siaki Ika. I am going to take a defensive lineman, I think, interior, and it's going to be Tuli Tuipulotu. I cannot say the name right. I will get it. I think he's a good fit here. Fits their scheme. I think I'm going to select him. Then we've got the Kansas City Chiefs once again. I think it's a receiver, and that's going to be Cedric Tillman. And then the last pick of the second round is going to be to the Chicago Bears, and it's going to be Blake Freeland. Yeah, so we got a lot of guys that you wouldn't expect to see here, but I think this is fun. We did a few trades here, not too many. Let me know what you guys think. I know a lot of people are going to be mad at some of the picks. The second round, I think, is a little questionable. Do I love Jalen Duncan there? No. Do I love JL Skinner there? No. We'll see what kind of happens, how the board falls, but that's going to do it for me in this one. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe if you are new, leave a comment on which picks you liked, which picks you disliked, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.